Brain of Britain, the nationwide general knowledge contest, chaired by Russell Davis.
Hello, another semi-final contest in the 2020 Brain of Britain tournament gets underway. I'm delighted to welcome back another 3 of our outright heat winners, along with one runner-up from a high-scoring heat who's rescued by our safety net. You probably have realised that some runners-up get a higher score than the outright winners in other contests. So it seems only fair to invite the best of them back for the semi-finals. We're still without an audience here in the Radio Theatre in London, and we're sparsely spaced and COVID-safe. Let's meet our sanitised semi-finalists again.
Hello, I'm Graham Barker. I'm a retired dental surgeon from Merseyside.
Hello, I'm NICKI COCKBURN. I'm a student from Wales.
Hi, I'm Andy Cook. I'm a postgraduate researcher from Huddersfield.
Hi, I'm Dave Taylor, a retired transport manager from Sunderland.
Thank you all. The audience applause in this auditorium might be missing at the moment, but the goodwill is very much still present from us and from everyone listening at home, I'm sure. Good luck to all of you. As always, it's the alphabet that determines the order in which we proceed, so it's your turn first. Graham Barker. The United Nations and UNESCO proclaimed last year, 2019, to be the International Year of the Periodic Table of Chemical Elements, in recognition of the 150th anniversary of the discovery of the periodic system in 1869. By which scientist?
Mendeleev.
Dmitri Mendeleev, who died in 1907. A unit of cultural transmission was scientist Richard Dawkins' definition for which word that he himself had coined and first used in his 1976 book, The Selfish Gene.
Meme?
That's right. Which expression that means something of mixed character with both good and bad parts is usually said to originate from a Punch cartoon of 1895?
Curate's egg?
Yes. I say said to originate because a version of it appeared some months earlier in a smaller magazine called Judy, and as an anecdote in a book published in the 1870s. The Punch version was drawn by George du Maurier. Quote, "The stooping figure of my mother, waist deep in the grass and caught there like a piece of sheep's wool, was the last I saw of my country home as I left it to discover the world." These are the opening lines of which book by Laurie Lee?
Cider with Rosie.
No, it isn't Cider with Rosie. It's NICKI COCKBURN.
As I walked out one midsummer morning.
Precisely so, the chronicle of his epic journey on foot through Spain in the 1930s. And it's your turn, NICKI COCKBURN. Appointed in May 2019, who is the current poet laureate?
Simon Armitage.
Yes. You might describe the comic book hero Spider-Man as a stegophilist. What is it that a stegophilist enjoys doing?
Looking at spiders.
No. Dave Taylor?
Climbing on roofs?
Not particularly. Graham Barker?
Climbing up high buildings.
Climbing the outside of a building, that's right. Which is what Spider-Man does, but not necessarily just roofs. Andy Cook now. 23 Brook Street in Mayfair in London bears a blue plaque from English Heritage, marking the brief residence there of a modern musical hero between 1968 and 9. Who was that?
Jimi Hendrix.
It was. Which British doctor used the cowpox virus to protect against smallpox in 1796?
Jenner.
Edward Jenner is right. Saint-Saëns Symphony No. 3 has what nickname because of its prominent part for a particular musical instrument?
The Clarinet Symphony.
No. Dave Taylor?
Organ.
Yes, it's the Organ Symphony, dedicated to the memory of Franz Liszt. And Dave Taylor, it is your go. Which German mathematician born in Leipzig in 1646 is believed to have developed calculus independently of Newton, his notation having been widely used since its publication?
Leibniz.
Yes, Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz. Which religion with a name deriving from the Sanskrit for to conquer is one of the 3 most ancient Indian religious traditions still in existence, along with Hinduism and Buddhism?
Sikhism?
No. Graham Barker.
Jainism.
Jainism, yes, which is neither theistic nor atheistic, but beyond both those notions, apparently. And that's the end of the first round, and the scores are pretty healthy. Everyone has scored. In fact, everyone has scored 2, apart from Graham Barker, who has 5. And on we go with you, Graham Barker. There are 2 stable elements that are liquid under ordinary conditions. One is mercury. What is the other?
Bromine.
Bromine is right. The adjective anadromous describes the migration patterns of what type of animal?
Lemmings.
No. Nicky Cockburn.
Is it fish?
It is fish, because it refers to migration up a river from the sea to spawn. And it's your turn. The Castle of Thornfield is a 1915 silent movie version of which classic 19th century novel?
Wuthering Heights?
Not Wuthering Heights. No, Dave Taylor.
Jane Eyre.
Jane Eyre, yes. Thornfield Hall in the novel is the home of Mr. Rochester. Andy Cook. In 2009, in the world of finance, an individual or a group of individuals who operated under the name Satoshi Nakamoto launched something that was the first of its kind. Can you tell me what this was?
Virtual currency, Bitcoin.
It was Bitcoin, the very first cryptocurrency, yes. Throughout his long career as an MP, Harold Wilson represented constituencies west of the Pennines, but he was born in 1916 in which Yorkshire town?
Huddersfield.
Yep. Yes. Well, there you go. He grew up and went to school there until his family moved away when he was about 15 to the Wirral. In 1910, the premiere of which of Puccini's operas starred the legendary tenor Enrico Caruso in the role of a character called Dick Johnson?
Turandot.
No. Dave Taylor knows.
Girl of the Golden West.
The Girl of the Golden West, La Fanciulla del West, yes, at New York City's Metropolitan Opera. And Dave Taylor, we've come round to you once more. The actors and performers Thomas Mitchell and Helen Hayes are individually the first male and female to have achieved what?
Win Oscars and Tonys.
No. Can't give you that. Graham Barker?
To have theatres named after them.
No. Andy Cook?
Win Best Actor and Actress Oscars.
No. Nicky Cockburn?
What, did they win the Best Supporting Actor and Actress Oscars?
No. They went one better than Dave said. They won the Triple Crown of awards, an Oscar, an Emmy, and a Tony. So you didn't quite get there far enough. End of round 2. All these scores are very, very good. Nicky Cockburn has 3, Andy Cook 4, Dave Taylor 4, Graham Barker 6. It's a lot of right answers. And here's Graham Barker, and it's music for you. During the lockdown in 2020, for a special stay-home live lounge, BBC Radio 1 brought together some of the biggest current acts, including Dua Lipa, Jess Glynn and Chris Martin from Coldplay, for a new charity recording of the song Times Like These. It reached number 1 in the charts. After we've heard part of it, can you tell me which group recorded the song originally?
On the street light shining, I'm a wild light blinding bright, burning off alone. It sounds like these you learn to live again.
It's times like these we give and give again.
It's times like these you learn to love again.
It's times like these, time and time again.
Was it you two?
It wasn't. No. Nicky Cockburn knows.
Foo Fighters.
It was Foo Fighters, and it's your question now. Whose profits from staging the Gilbert and Sullivan operas enabled him to establish the Savoy Hotel in London, which opened its doors in August 1889?
Was it Richard Doyley Cart?
Exactly that. Richard Doyley Cart. You got the full name. The Savoy Theatre had opened 8 years earlier and been the venue for their greatest successes. The type of Arabica, known as Kona coffee with a K, takes its name from the district where it's grown. In which US state?
Hawaii.
Correct. Yeah, that surprises you, but it's right.
1 in 50.
Yes. Samuel Croxall, in a 1722 publication, may be said to have popularised which famous series of tales in the English-speaking world?
1001 Arabian Nights.
I'm afraid not. No. Dave Taylor?
Gulliver's Travels.
Nope. Any more? No. Okay. Aesop's Fables is the answer, quite surprisingly. Andy Cook now. According to the most recent census held in 2011, what percentage of the UK's population lives in England? And I'll accept a percentage point either side of the actual answer.
95.
Can't accept that, I'm afraid. No. Graham Barker?
88.
No. Nicky Cockburn?
91.
No. Go on, Dave Taylor. You might as well.
85.
I'll give you that. It's 84%, so I would have accepted 83, 84, or 85, which is what you gave me. And it's your question. The actor who was born James Lablache Stewart in 1913 went on to become a big Hollywood star. By what name did he become better known?
Stuart Granger.
Yes. Which slang term that has become synonymous with obsessive and hardcore fans of a celebrity originally stems from the title of a 2000 single by the rapper Eminem? Out of time, I'm afraid. Yes, Nicky Cockburn?
Is it Stan?
It is Stan, which is apparently a conflation of stalker and fan. But there we are. End of another round, and here are the scores, and they still are close. Andy Cook now 4, Dave Taylor 6, Graham Barker 6, and Nicky Cockburn 7. Aye, aye. At this point in the programme, let's pause and give our semi-finalists a few minutes breather. They can sit back and chat and confer about this next bit as I present them with a pair of questions from a listener hoping to beat the brains. Dr. Janet Hoole sent us these questions to our email address, brainofbritain@bbc.co.uk, as you can too if you have ingenious ideas for this part of the programme. If Janet succeeds in outwitting the assembled brain power of our contenders today, she'll win a book voucher prize. None of this makes the slightest difference to the scores, of course, but do swap ideas and see if you can tackle Janet's teasers. They are connected, as you'll see. The first is this. Alfred Lord Tennyson was one of the great poets of the Victorian age and wrote many hundreds of poems, long and short. What particular characteristic is shared by the lesser-known poems of his with these titles? The Churchwarden and the Curate, The Village Wife, or The Entail, The Northern Cobbler, The Northern Farmer, Old Style, and The Northern Farmer, New Style.
I just imagine them being limericks.
They're not the bad ballads, are they? Is that Tennyson?
The what, sorry?
The bad ballads?
No, that's not him.
Nothing I can think of.
No, I can't think of any. I've heard of the Churchwarden one, but I can't think in what.
They're all rhyming
It's just a
couplets,
grouping of...
Churchwarden's the name of a pipe. It's nothing to do with that.
I don't know. I'm happy to go with anything.
Yeah,
I like Graham's idea, though.
yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah, they could all be named for pipes.
Well, pipes may be involved somewhere, but they're not really germane to the answer, which is that they're written in Lincolnshire dialect, the language of ordinary people in the area of England where Tennyson grew up. Now, here's the second question, and it is connected. Among the dialect words peculiar to Lincolnshire that Tennyson does use in those poems is a glimmergowk, which is a picturesque term for a particular creature. Can anyone tell me what a glimmergowk is?
A cuckoo.
Yeah, they have lots of words for
There's
cuckoos,
loads of things.
don't they?
Cuckoo. Yeah.
You agreed on that. That was quick. You're right, it's a bird,
Yeah.
but it's not a cuckoo.
An owl.
It's an owl,
Yeah.
it's an owl, you're right, yes. And there's a line here, while he sit like a great glimmergowk, with his glasses of third his nose. is a line in the aforementioned poem The Village Wife, and if that came out too northeastern, I can only say I was following the spelling that Tennyson uses. So thank you, and well done, Janet Hould. You defeated the Brains with your very unusual literary questions today, and your prize will be making its way to you on silent wings. And although there's no live audience here to show their customary appreciation, from the Brain of Britain Sound Archives, we offer you not a hoot, but this especially heartfelt round of applause. Delightful. I mentioned our email address, brainofbritain@bbc.co.uk, which you can use at any time to send us ideas for future consideration in this feature of the programme. If you don't have email or prefer to use pen and paper, you can also send them to BBC Brain of Britain, Dock House, Media City, UK, Salford M50 2LH. We consider everything we receive, and we'll give you notice if we pick yours for broadcast, although we don't have time to acknowledge every contribution individually, I'm afraid. Let's get back to the tension of the semi-final then. Fingers back on buttons. We start with you again, Graham. From around 1311 until the middle of the 16th century, which English cathedral was the tallest building in the world?
Lincoln.
Yes, Lincoln Cathedral. The spire on its central tower blew down in a storm in 1548, and it wasn't rebuilt. But it's still a fantastic sight. Which object has the Latin phrases annuit coeptis and novus ordo seclorum on the back?
A coin.
No. Andy Cook?
Victoria Cross?
No. Fair guess. Any more guesses? Dave Taylor?
Passport.
No. Nikki, going to have a go?
A medal that you get at the Olympic Games.
Not that either, no. It's something like that. It's the Great Seal of the United States. And on the obverse side is the much more familiar motto, E pluribus unum, one from many. NICKI COCKBURN, here's some music of sorts for you now. I'm sure you'll instantly recognise that the piece in question is Bohemian Rhapsody, originally recorded by Queen. Over the years, many bands and artists have been inspired to attempt their own versions. But can you tell me which famous actor is having a go here?
Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy? Caught in a landslide? No escape from reality. Open your eyes. Look up to the skies and see. I'm just a poor boy. I need no sympathy.
William Shatner.
Correct. Well done. And it's by no means the only well-known song Mr. Shatner has slaughtered. The worst of it is its recordings don't appear to have been meant as a joke. Which Mitford sister, often thought of as the quietest and least famous of them, received marriage proposals from the future poet laureate John Betjeman?
Unity.
No. Yes, Graham Barker.
Pamela.
Pamela Mitford, it was. Pamela was Lord and Lady Redesdale's second daughter. Her elder sister Nancy used to say that the first 3 years of her life were perfect. Then a terrible thing happened. My sister Pam was born. Nice, wasn't it? Andy Cook. In the 19th century short story The Legend of Sleepy Hollow by Washington Irving, two men compete for the affections of farmer's daughter Katrina Van Tassel. One of them is called Abraham Van Brunt. What's the other rival called?
Rip Van Winkle.
No. Graham Barker.
Ichabod Crane.
Ichabod Crane, yes, who was a schoolmaster. Dave Taylor. Henry VIII was the first reigning English monarch to use Hampton Court as a royal residence. Who was the last?
Charles II.
No. Graham Barker.
William III.
No. Any more? Yes, Andy Cook.
George I.
No. Have a go, Nicky.
William IV.
No, it was George II. Reportedly, George III would never live there on account of having had his ears boxed at the palace as a child by his grandfather. And that's the end of that round. Here are the scores. Andy Cook, 4 points. Dave Taylor, 6. Nicky Cockburn, 8. Graham Barker, 9. So very close as we return to you, Graham. Teruo Nakamura was the last known soldier of the Japanese Imperial Army to be captured after the end of the Second World War. But in which year, and I'll allow you one either way, was he discovered on the island of Morotai?
67?
No. Nicky Cockburn?
1952.
Nope. Yes, Andy Cook?
69.
Nope.
1987.
Then that's a bit late. He would, yes, I think he would have gone bonkers by now. 1974, actually, he was found. Nicky Cockburn, a question for you. An 1877 novel called That Lass o' Lowry's, set in a Lancashire mining town, was the first adult novel by a writer who became much better known for children's books, such as Little Lord Fauntleroy and The Secret Garden. Which writer was that?
Francis Hodgson Burnett.
Yes, indeed, who was born in Cheetham, Manchester, but the family emigrated to the United States. During which month are the majority of the Perseid meteor showers seen in the UK?
September?
No. Dave Taylor?
June.
No. Graham Barker?
November?
No. Andy Cook?
February.
No, September was close, it was August. They actually start at the end of July, but the majority in August. Now, Andy Cook, with your next question, you're going to hear music written by the composer William Walton for the soundtrack to a 1944 film. I'd simply like to know which film.
In which we serve.
No. Graham Barker?
Henry V.
Henry V is right, Laurence Olivier's film. Walton also composed the scores for Olivier's films of Hamlet and Richard III. Dave Taylor now. Which character from British comics, whose real name is Hermione Makepeace, likes to play pranks on Fatty Fudge?
Minnie the Minx.
Yes, of the Beano fame. An equal opportunities response to Dennis the Menace, it's fair to say. Which is the most populous US state capital?
Phoenix.
Well done. Phoenix, Arizona, at 1.66 million. It's in fact the only state capital with a population of more than 1 million. Which 1960 Alfred Hitchcock film opens in Phoenix, Arizona?
The Man Who Knew Too Much.
No. Graham Barker?
Psycho.
Yes, it was Psycho. It's where Marion Crane steals $40,000 in cash and sets out to drive to California. End of a round. Andy Cook 4, Dave Taylor 8, Nicky Cockburn 9, Graham Barker 11. And with that news of fairly close scores, I have to tell you that this is the final round. So make your move now, because there won't be another. Graham Barker, which saint, whose feast day is the 29th of September, is the patron saint of postal workers, broadcasters, and indeed all those who work in the communications industry?
St. Michael.
No. Dave Taylor?
St. Gabriel.
Right. You're right. Gabriel the Messenger, yes. And we very much hope he's smiling on us today. Nicky Cockburn, you may like it, you may hate it, but why does Marmite go by that name?
No idea.
That's fair enough. Andy Cook?
The shape of the bottle, which is like a Marmite, the French casserole. dish.
Yes, yes. It's a type of French cooking vessel of pot-bellied shape, as depicted on the label. In French, it is the marmite. And as it happens, Andy Cook, it's your turn. If, in Spain, you were awarded the Pichichi Trophy, what achievement would it mark?
Sorry, the
Pichichi Trophy.
would it be having achieved the 100 years of age?
No. That's a nice idea, but no. Yes, Dave Taylor?
You'd won Vuelta.
No, not that either. Nicky Cockburn?
Is it something to do with bullfighting?
It isn't. No, I can tell you that. No? Right. It is scoring the most goals in La Liga. It's their version of the Golden Boot, named after the Bilbao striker Pichichi Moreno. Dave Taylor, time for a music question for you. The piece you're about to hear is from Working Girl, the 1988 film starring Melanie Griffith. I'd like you to tell me...
Dolly Parton.
No. Nicky Cockburn
Carly Simon.
is the right answer, and she won an Oscar for Best Original Song for that number. And that brings us to the end of this semi-final of Brain of Britain 2020, with the final scores as follows. Andy Cook, 5 points. Dave Taylor, 9. Nicky Cockburn, 10. And Graham Barker, 11. So, that means that Graham Barker, by 1 point, joins the lineup for our grand final in a fortnight's time and stands a very real chance now of making it all the way to claiming the title of Brain of Britain. Very well done. And well done, all of you, of course, for a terrific performance across the series and a huge number of right answers in that programme. We've enjoyed your participation, and thanks again for bearing with us in a very strange year when so much has had to be changed and rearranged. There's just one place left in the final to be decided, and it will be decided here at the same time next week. I hope you'll be listening. Until then, thank you for joining us today, and goodbye.